warming up your body is incredibly important, but a lot of warm-ups don't really create flexibility or stability, which is what the point of a warm-up is. But today, I wanted to share with you my 5 favorite warm-up moves with variations. One in a seated position and one in a standing position, so you can pick the right variation for you. Use these warm-up drills to make you feel good in your body before any workout or just to start your day. Let's dive in. First warm-up move is for your feet and ankles. It's gonna be called the seated calf rock. So come to the edge of your chair, and what you're gonna do is this. You're gonna follow along, and if this feels easy for you, that's fine. You'll go to the next one, and we can say right down level 2. You'll get the hang of it, I promise. So first of all, this is level 1. So seated calf rocks, at the edge of your seat, nice tall posture. All you're gonna do is go toes into the ground, and then you're gonna go toes to nose. And we're gonna rock them back and forth like this. All right? Now it's really important when you push your toes in the ground, push the big toe, every toe into the ground as much as possible. And when you lift and try to feel this muscle right here. Okay? It's a pretty straightforward, simple drill. I'm gonna do this for just about 10 more seconds. So if this felt like it was the right move for you, then you're gonna write level 1 next to your warm-up 1. If this felt way easy to you, then you're gonna stand up. And if you need to, you can put a chair next to you for support, right? Just to find your balance here. And you're gonna do the same movement. It's a standing calf rock. So you're gonna come all the way up on your toes, and then you're gonna bring your toes to your nose. And you're just gonna go back and forth like this. If you can do it without support, that's even better, because we wanna find balance as we do these warm-up drills, okay? And just like with the seated calf rocks, all the way up on your toes, and lift those toes to your nose, and try to get a good pump in those ankles and those lower legs, okay? Next move, warm-up number 2. Okay, so write WU or warm-up number 2, right? We're gonna do seated bent YTWs. So it looks like this. Back to the edge of the chair, nice tall posture. Now what I want you to do here is this. I want you to bend forward from the hips and lean forward like this. Now the most important thing though is don't round your back. You should have a nice flat back from your tailbone all the way to the top of your head. So don't round your back. From there, you're gonna point your thumbs toward the sky. You're gonna make a Y. Then you're gonna make a T like this, and then you're gonna make a W, so bending the elbows and make a W. And each time you bring your hands back behind you, you're trying to squeeze the shoulder blades back and together, okay? So Y, squeeze, T, squeeze, and W squeeze, right? The more you lean forward like this as you do the YTW, the more challenging this will be on your shoulder blades and your lower back. But again, no rounding the back like this. I don't want you doing these things like this. Nice tall posture. Even if you're upright, that's fine. But the more you bend forward, the harder this will be. Okay? If this felt okay for you, then we're gonna do a standing variation. But I wanna mention something real quick. If you have tweaks in your shoulders, if anything felt funky, only go as far as you feel comfortable and then come back down. And pay close attention to your shoulders. When you bring your shoulders up, are you shrugging your shoulders up like this? Or are you keeping your shoulders down as you bring arms up? I want you to keep your shoulders down away from your ears and your shoulder blades pulled back as you bring your arms up. So if you have less range of motion, that's totally fine. Now, if this was too easy for you, we're gonna do a standing bent YTW. So that was level 1. All right, if that felt like plenty for you, level 1, just rest right now. I'm gonna show you this next variation of the movement, okay? Remember, we're finding the best moves for you, not everyone, the best moves for you individually. Okay, for the standing variation, you're gonna hinge through the hips like this. Knees are pointing the same direction as toes, toes straight forward. We're not going to round the back, okay? Don't round the back like this. It's the most important part. If you start rounding your back like this, you're going to get hurt, okay? So flat back, weight in the heels, hinge to the hips, and we're gonna do the same thing. Y, T, and then W, like this. And we're never letting the back round forward. We're going Y, T, W, okay? So now we've got the shoulders a little bit warmed up, the elbows a little bit warmed up, calves and ankles a little bit warmed up. Let's move on to the neck, shoulders, spine, and hips. Woo! This is gonna be one with a lot of different things. So we're gonna do a seated side bend for this. So again, on the edge of the chair. So this is pretty cool, right? You can do all of these warm-ups from a seated position if you're not able to stand yet. So that's what I want to tell you is that progressions and what we're talking about with motor pattern progressions means we got to give you movements that most people can do even if they can't even stand up from a chair. So a lot of the movements and the other moves that I'm going to show you are going to be these very beginner movements that help you build strength and mind-muscle connection. We'll get to that in a sec, okay? So warm-up number 3, write down WU number 3, okay? At the edge of the chair, nice tall posture. You're gonna take one hand and put it down like this, and one hand and lift it over your head like this as you come to the side. Now, big thing here. When people do side bends, they do this. They collapse their body to the side like this. And that usually puts pressure on the spine because when we collapse, we're putting pressure on all these vertebrae right here between the discs of the spine, and that can cause issues, right? So instead of that, what we want to do is this: lift the chest toward the sky. So as you come to the side, lift your chest toward the sky. It's length. It's all about length. And then we're just going to rotate from side to side like this. Now, if for any reason this is bothering your shoulders, then all we can do is this. You can keep the arms down, and you can just go from side to side like this, okay? And only go as far as you feel 100% comfortable. We're trying to open up the hips, the spine, the shoulders, right? I really want the arm over the head if possible, though. Even if it's bent like this and you're having trouble with flexibility, it's really important. This side bend move is one of my absolute favorites, okay? Now, if that felt too easy for you, then we're gonna go to a standing position, and we're gonna do side bends from the standing position. So here's what this looks like. Feet straight forward, right? Nice tall posture. We're not gonna allow ourselves to twist, or we're not gonna allow ourselves to collapse to the side like this. We're going to lean, and then we're going to lean as we go from side to side, okay? And what you might notice here is in the standing one, you might feel a stretch coming all the way down your body, into the outside of your hip, all the way down your IT pan, possibly even into the ankle, okay? But remember, we're not collapsing our body to the side like this. You see the difference? I'm collapsing like this, I'm lifting like this. You see the difference? It looks subtle, but this little bit of a movement right here creates space in the spine and keeps the spine healthy and safe rather than impinging those discs and causing issues with the spine, right? So here's the level 1 variation. So this is warm-up number 4 if you're taking notes. You're gonna choose whether you wanna do the seated variation, or we're gonna do a slightly different move for the standing variation. So you're gonna put your feet together like this, nice tall posture. Whenever we're working out, that's a quick note, whenever we're working out is an opportunity to work on our posture. So many people, when they go to a workout, they become mindless. They wanna watch TV while they hit the treadmill, right? I don't want that. I want you to be really connected to your body, feeling every single part of your body, working on that posture, and making sure that every moment counts for your workouts, right? So tall posture at the edge of the seat. Now from here, you're gonna squeeze your knees together, and you're gonna feel the muscles on the insides of the thighs firing, okay? And then we're gonna open the hips as much as possible, and you can just let the ankles roll to the outside if that feels comfortable for you. If it doesn't, you can keep your feet flat if that feels more comfortable to you. And push the knees out to the outside, and then squeeze the knees back together. So all you're doing is opening the hips, right? And getting that external rotation and feeling the muscles on the outside of the hips when we're here, and then squeezing the legs together. So we're warming up that internal and external rotation of the hips, which can help with the knees, help with the ankles as well, okay? So if this was enough for you, then on that warm-up drill number 4, write down level 1. We're gonna do this variation. If it was still too easy for you, then we're gonna do what's called a supported sumo squat. So I'm gonna bring my chair right here. I'm gonna show you how to do a supported sumo squat. So from a side angle, what I wanna do is this. Nice wide stance. I want my toes turned outward. And the most important thing I want you to think about as we do this, especially if you have knee pain, is to make sure that when you look down, your knee is going the same direction as your toes, okay? What does that mean? When I look down, my thigh's going this way, my knee's going this way, and as my knee bends, it's going the same direction as your toes. You're gonna cause a lot of pain if your knee collapses in like this and your arch collapses on your foot, or even if it's too wide like this and you lost your arch on your foot. So make sure the knees are going the same direction as your toes. Find a chair for support. Turn the toes outward, right? And all we're gonna do is this. Tall posture, use the chair for support. Weight is on the heels. Shins are vertical. I'm not trying to bring my shins forward over my toes. They're vertical. I like to think about, imagine if I was burying my shins in sand and I was trying to come down to a seated position and then nice up to a standing position. As we come down, just like with the seated clams, we drive our knees out as much as possible. We're trying to create that flexibility and that strength in the adductors, abductors, and hip external rotators so we can warm up those hips nicely, okay? One more warm up for you. We're gonna do seated marching as our beginner variation, our level 1. So write down WU5 or warm up 5, right? And we're gonna just do a little marching. So here's what it looks like. We're gonna march in place. You're gonna push off the toes. So this is real important. Don't just lift your leg like this. Push off the toes to initiate the movement. Then push this other leg into the ground and lift your foot. And when you lift your knee, what you'll notice is your core will activate. That's kind of cool, huh? When you come back down, use this as an opportunity to start training your feet to absorb shock. So instead of just dropping your foot like this, slowly come ball, heel, and then switch, right? So the way I like to think about this is as I come up, I'm pointing my toes down and I'm letting those toes stay pointed down so I can, I'm thinking too much, so I can support the shock as I go back and forth like this. okay? And trying to bring the knee as much to the chest as possible can be really helpful, all right? And this is a pretty decent range of motion. If all you're doing is, putting your hands and it's really hard just to lift your foot just a tiny bit, that's totally fine too, okay? We're just trying to do a little bit of marching to warm up the hip flexors, warm up the core, and warm up the rest of the body all at the same time. Now, if a seated marching felt too easy for you, then the last warm-up drill is going to be a standing marching. Again, you can use a chair for support if you need, but all you're going to do is this. You're going to lift one knee and lift the opposite arm, and then you're going to bring it back down, and you're going to lift the other knee and lift the opposite arm. All right? So just back and forth like this. Now, here is a really important part, is you can see that as I lift my knee, right? As I lift my knee and my toes are going the same direction. For a lot of people, they'll probably bring their knee in like this a little bit. I'm over-exaggerating here, with their toes trying to point this direction. And you'll notice that if you look at yourself in the mirror, if you have somebody, watch you or film you. So as you do this, treat it as an opportunity to pause and look down. Am I going knees over toes, right? And unlike the seated one, I'd like you to bring your toes towards your nose up here. Don't point them down like this. Towards your nose, and then absorb the shock. Towards your nose, and then absorb the shock. Towards your nose, and then absorb the shock, okay? All right, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed these 5 warm-up moves to make your body feel more flexible and create more stability at the same time. Now, if you like these warm-ups and you want more variations, well, all you gotta do is click the link below to check out WeShape.com, where we create personalized at-home workouts for all of our members. And also, if you want some more moves to do along with these warm-ups, try these ones right here, all right?